How are you?
Today I'm very good. Yeah. Yesterday, we did a recording and it didn't record.
Yes,
So
we
I
didn't
cannot
record, so
speak
we had
about
to.
yesterday.
We had to repeat the sequence because my storage on my phone was full.
And it was a pity because actually something came up because I didn't do well at all and I was challenging myself on the mat and I was irritated and not good and frustrated. And it came up that, well, you asked me how I was doing and I said, it's shitty, but on the mat I can handle it. And it's so important that we start to get used to open ourselves up to that shitty place as well, and that it doesn't need to be wonderful and it doesn't need to be perfect, but so
Yeah.
important.
And it's also interesting to observe how each day is different from the other, and that it really pretty much depends on your mood, on your emotional upheavals or whatever is going on. It's also represented in the practice. The practice shows you, it's kind of a mirror that shows you, hey, there's something going on, look into it, if you choose to. Yeah, so I would say that we just start with the seated postures. And in the previous video we did the highlight poses, the pretty challenging ones, and now we are ending the full primary series today. So you will have the full series starting with the Surya Namaskaras, ending with a Setu Bandhasana, and we'll go into it. And then the next video will be all about the finishing sequence. So the previous video, the first thing we did was the Navasana, the boat's pose, with the lift ups. Then we had the Ubhaya Padangusthasana, which was the arm balancing pose. Then we did the Konasana, this one, and then the Supta Konasana, the one with the feet behind the head and the bind. The next one was the Urdhva Padangusthasana, the one in the lotus. You slide your arms through and then you do the 9 rotations. And actually, to this one, I would really like to say why we do the 9 rotations, because this posture is called Urdhva Padangusthasana, and in Sanskrit it means the embryo in the womb pose. And the 9 rotations represent the 9 months that an embryo is spending in the womb of the mother. So I think it's a really beautiful gesture and also dedication to Mother Earth. And then after this one we have the Upavistha Konasana, the one where we open up the feet like a book. The first one is trying to bring yourself down to the floor with the elongated spine, and the second one was to curl into a little ball and trying to bring the head towards the feet. And then we did the vinyasa after that one, and from here we will continue and Kirti will demonstrate. So we're assuming that we just did the vinyasa. The next posture is Upavistha Konasana, so we're bringing the legs out wide, but only as wide as you can actually grab them. So you are trying to bring your hands to the outer edges of the feet. You inhale here into halfway lift, and exhale, you try to bring your body, your chest towards the mat. If the chest or the spine is not elongated, if the chest is not touching the floor, don't worry about that. Really just work slowly, slowly, slowly on opening up the hips, the hamstrings, and trying to elongate the spine. If you cannot fold forward at all, you can just slightly bend your knees like this. And try, and you don't even have to fold forward, you just try, and you also don't have really to bring your hands to the feet. Just really try what's possible in that one. The second one, which belongs to the same set, is Upavistha Konasana B. So after this one, you try to bring your feet up. Like this.
The most best case is touching the feet while bringing them up, right?
Yeah, so you're trying to still grab hold of the feet, but that's pretty challenging. So again, you separate your feet here, you point the toes, maybe you want to gaze up to the ceiling. Engage the bandhas, they will help you with the balance. And you stay here for 5 breaths.
And Olga used to say, let the light in.
Let the light in.
That pose, I really like that one.
Then inhale, you elongate your chest again, you lengthen. Exhale, release your legs and come into a vinyasa. Inhaling, upward facing dog, and exhaling, downward facing dog. And then you jump again into seated posture, or you just walk forward, step forward into seated.
And Olga sometimes says upward facing dog, and I'm doing the cobra because I cannot handle the upward facing dog yet. So if you see the friction, it is not, well, she's not saying what I do, I do not do what she said. Upward facing dog would be, I can do it like, would be this, right?
Yes, exactly. So the thighs are not touching the mat, the weight is actually on the feet.
And since I cannot cope it in the vinyasa, I do this.
This is just a cobra.
This is the little difference here.
Exactly, thank you. So after the vinyasa, you come back to seated. Then, very similar to what we just did with the legs spread out, we are doing the same thing but in a lying down position. So you elongate your legs first, you lie down, and then with the inhale, you bring your legs up and above the head and separate the feet. And you try this time to grab hold onto the big toes with the peace fingers. And in this one, you stay for 5 breaths. And again, if this is not accessible to you, this pose, you don't have to bring the feet all the way down to the mat. You can also just use any blocks or bolsters or blankets where you can place your feet on. Otherwise, you can try to do the next one. So with the inhale, you try to roll yourself up and spread your legs again. You don't hold here and you go straight down again to the first one that we just did. And inhale, come up. Exhale, bring the feet together. And vinyasa. Inhaling, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. And jumping through to seated again. Again, lengthening the legs, lying down. The next one would be to bring up the right leg up. So inhaling, right leg up, try to grab hold on the big toe with the peace fingers. Then exhale, bring the head towards the leg. Hold here for 5 breaths. You can use the other hand to really push this left side down so that the left side doesn't come up from the floor. Try to activate that leg.
Is it flex or is it pointed?
And that's, some teachers do it differently. So some teachers say to flex, some teachers say to point. So it's really up to you what feels comfortable and what makes sense to your body. Inhale, bring the head back down. Exhale, right leg to the right side and the head towards the left. Again, try to keep that left hip on the mat. And still trying to have the leg nice and activated. After the 5th breath, inhale, you exhale, head to the toe, head to the knee. Inhale, head back down, exhaling, release. Inhale, left leg up. Exhaling, head to the knee. 5 breaths here. Activate your right leg. Try to keep it on the mat, the leg. After the 5th breath, inhale, head down, exhaling, leg to the left side and head over to the other side. Staying here for 5 breaths. And again, if you cannot reach the big toe, you can also just grab hold on the calf muscle or just slightly bending the knee, that's fine too. Otherwise, inhaling, coming up, exhale, head to the knee, inhale, head back down, exhaling, leg down. And traditionally, after these postures where you end the pose in the lying down position, you would do a chakrasana, which is a backwards roll. It's quite challenging for beginners, so I would not recommend it. So you just do a normal vinyasa. Inhaling and exhaling and jumping through to seated again. And we're going back down into lying down position. Again, elongate your legs. And with this next one, with the inhale, you bring your legs up again over the head. You grab hold onto the big toes. This time the legs are together. You don't hold that position. You, with the inhale, straight away come into balancing. This time the legs are together. Try to point the feet and try to gaze up to the ceiling. But this one you hold for 5 breaths. And again, if you cannot reach the toes, you can also just grab hold onto the ankles or here on the shins. Inhaling, expand the chest here. Exhale, release, and vinyasa. Inhaling, exhaling, and jumping through to seated again. Extend your legs. We come down again, lengthening the legs. Very similar to the previous one, where you, with the inhale, bring the legs up above the head. This time you grab hold on the outer edges of the feet. That's the difference. You don't hold the position here. With the inhale, you come up again to balancing. Okay, let's do it again.
See, this is what looks good.
Again, inhale, rolling up. And with this one, you're really trying to bring the legs closer to the body. And if you can, maybe gazing up. And similar to the previous one, you don't have to grab the feet if the hands cannot reach them. You can just also place your hands on the shins. That's also fine. Inhale, expand. Exhale, release. Vinyasa. Inhaling and exhaling and jumping through to seated. And we're coming into the last posture. This one is quite challenging, so I will demonstrate it first and then we will do the modification for that pose. So what you would do, if you have the flexibility, you bring the heels together and you separate your feet so that it looks like Charlie Chaplin feet. You would then come down onto the mat and place the top of the head on the mat, like this, similar to fish pose. Then you would try to bring the hips up and bring rotating the legs and bringing the hands onto your chest. And stay here for 5 breaths. And releasing. And I will just demonstrate the Chakrasana pose, the backwards roll, where you bring the feet, the legs over the head, and coming into a vinyasa from here. Great. And we will just do the modification for this one. So come to lie down. Actually, just stay here for a bit. Bring the heels together. Try to bring the feet into the Charlie Chaplin pose. Then you can lie down. Try to bring the top of the head onto the mat.
And the elbows are
You can keep your hands on the mat for now. So that's kind of very similar to the fish pose. If that's enough, you just stay there. That's totally fine. Otherwise, you could try to lift your hips up from the floor and try to bring the legs closer together, like this. And just very, very slowly with practice, you keep building up on this one. So you will start strengthening the neck area, the head area, the throat area.
But there is also weight on the elbows, no? Or not at all?
For the modification, yes, of course, you can use the elbows to push yourself up, if that's helpful. I mean, eventually you will not have your arms on the floor at all. And you can try it a few times, kiddo.
Yeah, but as soon as it hurts on your head, you shouldn't.
Yeah, if it really is super painful, just leave the pose. Yeah, beautiful. And then you do vinyasa. Inhaling, exhaling, and jumping through to seated. Great. That was the full primary series of Ashtanga. Yeah, how is that for you? How was it for you to practice the whole thing?
Well, it's weird because actually we started 2 weeks ago. How long do you live here? 3 maybe? 2 or 3? 2.5 something. And I didn't know nothing about, well, I did know that it existed, the word Ashtanga Yoga, but what I love about this practice is that it's structured. And I used to get up in the morning and I used to do my own practice and I used to go like, oh no, this, oh no, I don't want this, let's go back to this. So I was constantly choosing in my head, I was constantly crazy about finding the right postures. And what I love about Ashtanga is that it has a series, it has a structure, so it's every day, it's the same thing, it's the same thrive, it's the same flowing. Obviously you feel different, but I know that as soon as I get onto the mat, I can just, I am in it. So I really don't have to think, ooh, what's next? And obviously in the first 2 weeks, I used to ask Olga a lot, and still I do ask like, what's next? But as soon as you have that, which posture comes after the other, it is so floating, it is so, I really can dive deep into it. Really the only step that you need to do is to show up on your mat and then...
Yeah. And what Kid has here is a cheat sheet. So this is, you can find it online, there's so many of them. And these sheets, they just show the full primary series, for instance. And in Ashtanga you have multiple series. So after the primary, you do the intermediate, then you do the advanced A, B, C, D, etc. But as you've probably seen, the primary series is pretty full on and so challenging. So it takes a long time, years of practice in order to actually go to the next series. And that's something that only a teacher would tell you when you're ready for the intermediate series. So don't just go into it straight away, because it can be really, really harmful to your system. So be really, really mindful with that. So yeah, and I previously mentioned in earlier videos that traditionally, if you start with a practice, you're starting with the Surya Namaskaras, the sun salutations, and then you do the sequences, the poses. Then traditionally the teacher would tell you to stop at a particular pose because they feel that you might not be ready for the next postures to come. And with that, you just do that little bit of the sequence, and then once you've reached your final pose, you go straight into the finishing pose. So each time it's very important to complete the practice with the finishing postures. That's really important. And we will go into the finishing sequence in the next video. So stay tuned, and please ask us any questions.
I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
How is it to teach individually, like 2 or 3 weeks, like in this content? How does that feel? And to teach, maybe also to teach.
Yeah.
To,
I mean, I'm so happy that you are such a willing student who really wants to know, who really wants to do this thing, who really wants to learn. And that's, of course, it's super easy as a teacher to teach somebody who is willing to learn. That's a benefit. And it's also amazing to see how much progress you made within these 2 or 3 weeks that we just started, and you already know almost the full series, the postures. And today I was like, wow, she knows almost everything. she doesn't really need me, you know. And that's the thing with Ashtanga. Maybe in the beginning you would need a teacher to kind of guide you, but then it's like, hey, here you go. Now you're on your own. You can do it. You don't have to have a teacher, and it's great. And that's it's great to give a student such an independence.
Yeah. And yesterday or the day before yesterday was the first day that Olga said, now you're doing your own rhythm, now you're doing your own thing. And it was very scary. It was very scary. But it is the moment that obviously a mother let their children go outside, or a teacher leaves their student.
Yeah. I'm very, very lucky with Setu.
Same here.
Great. Yeah, see you in the next video. Bye bye.